call the meeting to order. Please all rise and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Commissioner, you've got a copy of the agenda. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. All right, review and approval of the minutes from September 11th, 2023.
So move.
I understand it was a correction.
It's just a minor change where I reworded a sentence to be more accurate. It was worded strange. So what it says now is where in the first paragraph where it says I provided an overview, the request to change from R1 to 3 was said to be due to some frontages not meeting R1 standards and that most of the frontages are more than 60 feet. That's what I changed.
Okay.
Which is still what it said, it just worded more clearly.
Okay.
I move to approve as amended.
Motion and a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so at this time I want to open our second public hearing on the application for zoning change from R1 to R3 for a 22.328 acre parcel at the 15500 block of Leo Road, State Road 1, owned by Leo Holding. I'll now open up the floor to public comments. First of all, can you introduce, there was a change to that plan, is that correct?
Oh,
Yeah. Can you?
yes, so in the initial plan commission hearing, I was just trying to set my recording. In the initial plan commission hearing, there were 43 lots on the plat. At the commission hearing, you requested that the roads and cul-de-sacs be adapted for school buses to make sure they could turn around. And my understanding is that that was the main reason for the change. It's now 38 lots because of rearranging the cul-de-sacs. So it's now down to 38.
Okay. All right, so we'll open up for the floor. Want to speak for or against this, have a comment about this rezoning. If you've signed in, to speak, we're not going to take comments from the audience. If you want to speak, you can stand before the podium. Please sign in with your name and address and phone number. So, whoever wants to go first?
Can we hear from the developer first?
Certainly.
Yes. Yeah. So my name is Justin Kuhn. I'm from Hicksville, Ohio. As you guys know, I purchased the Ruth Levy farm out here in the side of town. I'm interested in putting in housing development. I've spent the last couple of months traveling around Fort Wayne looking at what I feel are some of the nicer housing developments. I hired Joe Herendeen from Sauer Engineer to basically...
Can we get a microphone better? I can't hear.
Just step up here and speak backwards to them, and we can hear. There's no in-house speaker system. It's that's just for online and recording
Thank you.
purposes.
It'll help going this way.
Yep.
Thanks.
So my name is Justin Kuhn. I purchased the Ruth Levy property out here north of Leo. I wanted to get into development. I think Leo's a beautiful community. I think that the downtown is beautiful. As you guys know, it's growing. Fort Wayne City ran new water and sewer lines out State Route 1 down Lochner Road to encourage development. So I purchased the property and working with Joe Herendeen, he's the engineer from Sauer Engineering. I went and I drove through some of the nicer developments in Fort Wayne and I wanted to mimic them. So I had him lay out a plot. One thing that I learned is a triangle piece of ground is a tough piece of ground to develop. A lot of developers want a rectangle. So Joe, with his expertise, has laid out the lot or the property the best that he feels fit for the property. R1 zoning is for large estate lots. I understand that. R3 zoning is for 9,000 square foot lots. I'm not here tonight to sell you guys out. I'm not here tonight to put 9,000 square foot lots in. The smallest lot I think we have is 11,000 feet, and it's right up on the corner by the pond. I think to myself of, I want to build a development that the community can have multiple different people live in it. I think of my mom and dad who don't want a big yard to develop, or to live and mow and take care of, that want to winter in Florida and come up here and have a nice house and see their kids' activities in the summer. And then there are families that want bigger lots, so I have a mix of them. I'm willing to sign something tonight with the town of Leo. I talked to the town attorney to deed that property only to 40 lots. My goal is not to get this thing zoned R3 and then sell it to another developer and have them back 70 lots in. I'm not here with no hidden agenda.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Yes, sir.
So I'm Jason Pence, and this is my parcel right here. This is the second time somebody's tried to develop with this. There's been sewer lines there since 2007. I'm very grateful for that. I think Justin can put in a nice subdivision here, but I'm going to tell you that some of my concerns, if you don't mind. So my research has revealed that R1 was created in the rural areas of town that were foreseen as key potential areas for residential development. This zoning district was put into the parts of the town that were sensitive to runoff into the Cedarville River and the Cedar Creek. Large state lots are also thought to be better for these areas because they would allow scenic views to be somewhat preserved and to let existing wildlife in the area have more room to move about. So I'm going to go back. I wish I could have a map of the town and show you something. But there's been 2 subdivisions that have been successfully developed R1. That would be Wilderness Creek and Homestead Estates. So why did we require these developers to go ahead and develop R1? And now we're going to go in here in the middle of an R1 district and take it clear down to R3. That'll set a precedent that basically I think R1 is not going to exist. We just have to get rid of it and rezone. And I'm sympathetic to Mr. Kuhn's idea of the way other lots are. We've all seen what happened in Huntertown. That town has one zoning district, a single residential, and it's just as small as our R3, basically. All the rest are the duplex and the multifamily. So Leo Cedarville has extremely unique zoning. It was 1996 when we did it, and then in 2013, we went ahead and verified that with a new plan for the town. It's called a comprehensive master plan. So, it was stated in the minutes that most of the lots met requirements of R1. When I look at this plat, I have a rollout of it, only 6 lots met R1. Another 6 lots were within 90% of the 22,000 square feet. So they were 18 to 19,000 square feet, some of them 20. 15 lots are less than 60% of the R1 size, leaving additional 11 lots R2. So if I take all the square feet of all these lots together, which, like Justin said, won't work because of the way the road is and everything, but if you take that, it's 542,000 square feet. You divide that by the required 22,000 square feet, that equals 31.7 lots. The thing is, if you go, I've sold houses in Wilderness Creek, I'm a realtor. A lot of those lots are bigger than a half acre, they're 1 acre or 1.5 acre. Once again, why did we make that developer follow R, and then now we're gonna especially put an R3 in the middle of an R1. I wish I had the map I could show you, but, and I only have a couple more things to say here. Reasons to move forward, we fit more houses in, and more tax revenue for the city, that is for sure. My reasons against it is the town comprehensive plan calls for zoning districts to be respected. The master plan also calls for cluster development in traditional rural areas of town. So when we rezone, the cluster zoning is basically, you have a park-like area and then the drive goes back, and then you fit the lots in tiger and then you put like trails in between, you put a buffer around the whole thing. So that's what it calls for. I mean, it's there. I know you guys don't have to respect it, but it is there. It was passed. Okay? And I think and as a realtor, I can tell you, disregarding the town's comprehensive plan leaves us open to unwanted development. It's all been, you can have a little lower, look it up. When you don't follow your comprehensive plan, or if you don't have one, somebody will sling a junkyard in on you, or something, or a big apartment complex you don't want, and you can make a lot of money. So I say this renders R1 district obsolete. We probably need to take the comprehensive plan, get rid of R1 zoning, and also it's good to protect the St. Joe River.
All right. Anyone else want to speak?
I plan to, but I'd yield to somebody else unless I'm the only other one. Anybody else? Then I can speak. I think I'll stand over here. I'd like to talk to you guys, but I want them to, I guess, hear as well. I'm Bill Hartman. My wife Jan, we drew straws. I got the short one, so I'm speaking instead of her. Lived in Leo literally all our life. So we're out walking, the bridge is out. We walk across the bridge and we see your sign and learn that there's going to be an addition. And of course, as we look at the sign, we see 43 lots, and kind of intriguing. I used to fish there as a kid when that was a river instead of a swamp. But anyway, then I started hearing conflicting information about what is going on. Is it going to be apartment complexes? Is it going to be cheap housing or whatever? So I started paying attention. And then when I saw the minutes, I spent 10 years in East Allen County School Board, and I know that minutes don't always reflect exactly what happened in a meeting, but when I saw the minutes in the last Courier, and especially when I noticed that most of the lots, and I think Jason touched that, most of the lots meet the R1, I just started crunching my own numbers, put a spreadsheet together, and quickly saw, well, only 6 lots actually meet that. And then my quick kind of analysis from there, the other 32 are closer to 15,000 average, so quite a bit less than the 22,000 square feet requirement for R1. And of those 32, 20 are about 13, and another 12 are about 12 and a half. Probably should have said from the start, I'm not for or against this. I want to share some observations, and I think my overall would be that as a town, and you guys' job to lead the town, I think it is important to stay consistent with a town master plan, but I also think it's important to know when the master plan needs to be adjusted. I think it's easy to follow a plan. It's harder to decide when not to follow a plan. And I would honor either one of those as we would get down to it. The next thing that happened, when I think 22,000 square feet, I bet most of you are the same way, 22 versus 14 for a R2 or 9 for an R3, I don't know what that means until I go out and start looking. So I quickly looked at all the additions, and it is helpful for me to know that, so R1 is the Wilderness Creek and the Homestead Ridge, I think, not a mistake, but yes. So that is R1. I drove out there just before I came here again. That's kind of huge. I would say in some ways it's in between. It's not big enough to have a horse, but it's bigger than an awful lot of people today want to mow. I know all that stuff has changed. But those are the other R1s to compare. The R2s are Lion Gate, Brighton Park, and Tonner Lake. So I mean, I've kind of gone through there, and it's easier for me to identify when I'm thinking, so what is R2? Well, I know what those additions are, and I think most of us do. And R3 is Matea, Pioneer, right behind us, Lakes of Leo, I think it's called, and even Whitmer Park. So that helped me get my head around it. And then I would just come down kind of to this. I understand there was a master plan developed. I don't know if that's the best plan for Leo or if it's not, but I think you guys' challenge is to kind of assess that. Is that still appropriate? Does R1 still reflect the vision that makes sense for that area? And then I would say kind of simply, if it does, then I'd suggest keeping it. Keep it at the 22,000. In general, I think I heard Jason say 31 point something. I had 30 to 32, depending how it gets laid out. And then I would just say, if anybody wants to develop it, you got to work within that. You might have to work some variances on shorter, or for some of the less than, 100-foot wide up front. So I think that's one route to go. I also think there's another whole route to say, you know what, that really doesn't need to be R1. And maybe R2 would fit it better. So I crunched the numbers in R2. It's kind of incredible to me. If you took the plan as he's laid out, R2, of the 38 lots, 23 are already fit. I want to make sure I get my numbers right, so I'm going to look at my notes and not you. Of the remaining 15, they average over 12,500, so you don't have too much to gain. Remember, R2 is 14,000. So on those remaining 15 that are less than the 14,000, you've only got to gain 1,500 each. Of those 15 that are less than 22, if you track with me, 8 of them, it's a stretch right along that top side. 8 of those could simply have a boundary moved. And I know this poor developer, every time he moves a boundary, his buddy wants to charge him, but he'd probably do it half price. It literally, in those 8 lots, they average like 14 point something. So just moving boundaries would fix all of those and make them R2 compliant. Of the final 7, they're in a cluster and they're all along that inside from 29 to 38. If you just point to that, because I think you'd like to consider this. Would somebody just take your finger across 29 to 38? It's the inside on top, it's right there. You've got, yeah, right there, go on all the way across.
There's 38.
Yep, go clear across there. Just sweep that.
29, it's this.
Yep, it's that whole group right there. Those, if you got rid of one of them, it would reach, so you'd have to cut a lot if you did it that way, but then they'd all be over 14. Or the other thing you could easily do is extend that street, and my calculation is about 50 feet. Point to that so they can see it, the cul-de-sac up at the top right. If you push that a little bit to your right, honestly, 45 feet would about get her done. You got those huge lots there that it wouldn't hurt at all, 12, 13, and 14. But that would add, obviously, to every one of these because it would make them wider. And you only need to be about 5, 6 feet wider to hit your 14. So I don't want to get too lost in that detail, and I'm not a developer or an engineer, but it didn't take me very long to figure out by square feet. Those couple of moves would make all 38 lots compliant if you just went R1. And then that backs you up to 80 feet, some of you know, R2, I'm sorry, R2, and then that backs you up to 80. I couldn't read on this little print, but I think those might be 80 already, but somebody can figure that out. But suddenly, you would be compliant. It would be more of a Lions Gate to an extent, except it'd be a Lions Gate. If you could play it all right and went R2, theoretically, you could get 50 lots in there. He only wants 38, and he's agreed to have you write in no more than 38 or 40, whatever numbers you guys were thinking of. But suddenly, you've still got big lots in there, but it's more of a Lionsgate look. It's not a Pioneer Village or a Mateo look. And I think it's kind of a win-win for what the developer wants to do, and somebody's going to develop that at some point. And I know we all like Leo, we like to keep it small, we all want to be the last guy to move in, but people are going to come. We ought to have things that would attract them, but I think it just comes down to you guys think R1 is still the right plan, and if you think it's not, I think you've got the authority to say it no longer is. But boy, that R2 would be a quick, easy, I think, fix. You know what? I think, and the people said, amen. Thank you for listening.
Anyone else? Okay.
Yeah. I'm Blake Wheeland.
Blaine, you just sign up?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. Sign in here?
Yeah.
Please.
She's a pen back on. Okay. So I met Justin, talked to him, and we like him. I live right here. Right, turn left, my house is right there. And so my neighbor came in, and he lives right here, so we're really close to this. And when Justin came over and showed us the plan, you know, I wasn't aware that we had options really. I mean, Leo's developing, this seemed as good a plan as any. I liked him. I just think I didn't think there was any choices to make, you know, you can't hold back development. But then, and also, I was aware that kind of whatever you do here, certainly this is kind of the idea of what's gonna happen everywhere. I also own 22 acres right in here, back about 1,000 feet. Hepler's own 13 acres in here. You know, the Schlotter's still, I mean, there's just land everywhere around here, right? So whatever's going, it's gonna go. Like, we go R3, now I can sell my 22 acres R3. I can get some high density. That makes it a little more interesting for me to sell that. To me, this isn't really about this right here. This is about what's the plan for Leo. We all live here. And I've lived here 40 years. I like where I live. We came out to Leo because we like Leo. Everyone likes Leo. I want to move out here. So this is, what's the plan for Leo? I mean, if we want R3 everywhere, you guys even have the authority, thanks for your service. You can make that decision, and there we go. But Jason showed me the master plan, and how that master plan has little natural areas. And when I saw that master plan, I thought, wow, that would be a cool looking Leo. And I didn't limit myself there. I mean, if development stays R1, and I have to do R1 if I ever sell that land. But that master plan is such a cool look at Leo with its natural areas and its path and its trails. And the way it protects things, I just thought, man. So I wanted to come tonight and say, I'm sure as development goes, I'm sure he's going to do a really nice looking development. Really not worried about it. But I'm worried about Leo. And just what we said as the precedent. And I think we need to go back and look at that master plan. Just pause a little bit, look at that master plan, and really seriously consider what Leo's going to look like 40 years from now. That's what I have to say. And I almost felt badly because I should have called you
That's
first.
fine. I'm glad you spoke.
No, I should have called you first because when you have a personal relationship, you don't just drop in.
No, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, so I apologize for that. But it was a little late notice. We never did get our letter, by the way. But anyway, so.
And the letter is within 300 feet, you should have received it.
Yeah, I know. But we did receive some letters, the letter was empty. But it didn't matter anyway. I had plenty of information on that. But anyway, thank everyone.
Okay, is there anybody else in the audience?
I have that signed letter, by the way.
I'm sorry.
I have all of the cards returned and signed, so.
Okay. Okay, so,
I'm probably the old guy here.
are you signed in, sir?
Yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I'm probably the old guy here. I've been around longer than probably any of the rest of you. Because I live down the road just a little bit from where, well, I'm a neighbor to Jason. So, and I agree with what they've said. If we want to have a town that's nice for you, I probably won't be here. But if you want to have a town that's nice for you and your kids, grandkids, if the Lord doesn't come back for them, I'm a proponent of that too. But anyhow, I think we have a group of people here that show that there's an interest in doing the right thing. That's what I want to. I want to do the right thing. And I've lived around here long enough to know that if you start down the wrong road, then you usually continue on the wrong road. So we need to get on the correct road here, the best road to go. So that in the future, we don't look back and say, why in the world didn't we ever allow that to happen? And I hope you listen to the guys who brought the information here. I don't have all that information, but it sounds to me like they've done some good research and we all listened. And may the Lord give you wisdom.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the Plan Commission members' comments or questions.
I got a question real quick. Can we get a raise of hands who lives in the town limits, please?
Okay, all right. Any comments or questions from the commission?
I'll say one more thing, if it's okay. I would like to say that I'm not, when we're saying R3, we're thinking not high density and pack it in. And again, I want to stress to you and to all of you that that is not my plan. I need R 2.5 or 2.1 zoning. And like I spoke to the town manager and you, I will write in writing and record a deed to this property. This property will never be more than 38 lots. It's not this R3 is going to take over and we're going to put 70 lots in it. It's what fits the property best. I've invented things and patented things, and most of my life people have made fun of me if this isn't going to work and that's not going to work, and I've taken things to market, and I feel that I've been a fairly successful visionary, and that's what this property is. I'm being a visionary. I'm trying to get the best setup for that piece of property. And that's me.
Okay, again, commission members, any comments or questions?
I mean, can you live with an R2? I mean, is it feasible to?
Well, anything's feasible, but it all goes back to now, it's more time, it's redesigning, it's another month's meeting, it's yeah, I can do it.
That's part of the process, it's worth the time.
Yeah, I'll do whatever. I don't see, we're really fighting about 8 lots, that's why people are here tonight, because is there
I have to say something to that.
No, we've moved on from the public comment. This is not you had your opportunity to speak. We're going to maintain some order here to get through this. I understand there's some passion here. We've got a meeting and we've got a decision to make, so we've had that. Like I said at the beginning, we're not going to do this back and forth thing. You had an opportunity to speak. Now it's time for this commission to ask questions or make comments.
I spent some time reviewing the master plan as well, and just to figure out where we were at and what was going on, and I spent a lot of time reading the density maps and what the plan is, and what I came down to is ultimately Leo Cedarville on the master plan does have some really creative plans, really creative ideas to create some park-like structures, and I know in some of the communications, Justin's has some plans for along the river's edge. Hopefully someday for the city of Fort Wayne, we'll jump on board and create some awesome park-like structures and some stuff going on there. But ultimately, the plan, and I took a picture of it when I went home to contemplate what the process was and what was going to happen, and knowing that we were going to have some passion tonight in the room on what was going to be decided, and ultimately moving on to the town council, probably at some point here. Ultimately, what I found in the master plan, Envision master plan, is that the call is for medium to low density housing. And if I use Mr. Hartman's point, we already have R3, which was already zoned when that master plan came out, and R2 was already zoned, and R1 was already zoned. So that tells me whoever wrote the plan, the group of people, of individuals that wrote the plan, clearly thought R3 was medium to low density housing, or else it wouldn't have been put into the master plan as that. So I think that's the hard part for me tonight. I understand the passion. I understand that there's 40 acres behind my house that's up for sale right now. And I understand that that's going to probably come before this board at some point, looking to do something there. And that's ultimately is, if we're calling it to look at the master plan and make a decision based on the master plan says R3 is within the limits of what we want. It's ultimately probably not in I don't want that behind my house. I think it's actually already zoned that way, if I have to remember correctly, but it's not optimal. But it is what the master plan allows. So I understand that, we need a plan going forward, and actually the town council asked for that to happen starting very soon, is to get that ball rolling again. but the master plan in place allows for things to be zoned R3, R2, and R1.
Anyone else? Okay, so, our job tonight is to either maintain, for those, this is our second go-around on this hearing. There were some people that weren't noticed of the original hearing, so that's out of courtesy to those, we held a second one. So, in our last meeting, it's our role as this Plan Commission to recommend to the council. We don't actually do the rezoning, that's a council thing, but it's our job here to recommend or not recommend this zoning change. In our last meeting, we recommended that this zoning change be approved to the council, and they had that, and then we found this problem, so that's why we're here today. So what I'm asking from the commission tonight is that we either maintain, amend, deny the prior recommendation approving the rezoning request.
Are we done with comments? Are we done with comments?
Yeah, if you're done. Okay. So, what, get a motion?
I move that we amend our original one to limit it to 38 lots, like Mr. Kuhn said, and that's it. I mean,
To 38?
38. Okay. Yeah. I think that's.
Okay, well, all right, so,
When you say
I've done this for a long time, that's not our job as a
Okay.
plan commission. The council, moving forward into the next meeting, the council can put those restrictions on us. It's to us to either recommend or not, or deny the request for the zone.
Okay.
It's very simple, our job. And the council's got the complicated job of saying, yes, plan commission agreed with the zoning change. However, we want to restrict it to this. And that's council's job. That's not the job of this commission. So,
Okay.
okay.
You want to amend your motion, or?
I'll withdraw it and we can start over. I mean,
I'll make a motion that we accept the zoning as it was presented in the last meeting.
So to maintain the motion?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay.
Is all in favor?
So we'll recommend to the council that, we recommend that the rezoning be approved. So the final step for that rezoning falls on the town council. So ours is just an advisory role. So,
Can I clarify that too? So that will be addressed, that's on the agenda for the council meeting tonight and right now, so that anybody wants to speak to the council, say, and we're gonna do that.
yeah. Okay? All right, we'll close the public hearing.